So, you've been on a journey for a while, so you've been on a journey for a long while. How long? I have no idea, okay? A long time. And as you look into the future, you're thinking, I see no end to this. I see that this will go on forever. Our brains have a couple of fascinating capabilities. Our brains are really amazing in their telescopic capability of looking way into the future. We can envision what life could be like for us in our 90s. In our 80s, 70s, 60s, we can guess a lot about how all that evolution takes place. The other fascinating thing about our brain is we can do the exact opposite, almost like a microscope, where it can zoom in on the very moment of what's happening right now. We can really sense it. I remember holding my daughter for the first time and sniffing her little bald head with just a tiny little bit of fuzz on it and feeling the molecules of whatever going through my olfactory system and just soaking it in. It seems like that one deep breath lasted an hour and I never wanted to let go of it. We have the ability to be way deep into something that's very tiny or way broad. The reason I mention this is because you're going to need to maneuver your brain's telescopic or microscopic capabilities to get through this experience. I am a chess player. I've studied the game for quite some time, and when I really started getting into it, one of my biggest surprises is the media, when it discusses chess or amateurs, they often come to the conclusion that chess players think many moves into the future. That seems like that's how it works, but as I studied it carefully, that's actually not how chess players work. The greatest chess players do something that was really confusing when I first started looking at like live games or videos of games. They'll make a move and leave the board. They'll walk away. They'll go get a sandwich waiting for their opponent to play. And what I didn't realize what they were doing is they were clearing their heads for the next position. You see, chess players have to approach every situation as if it's a brand new circumstance and approach it with the principles they're aware of for how best to approach what's in front of us right now. Who knew that chess had tons of really important principles that you have to access to help guide your decision-making process of where to move a piece and where not to move a piece and when to let one hold still. And if you think too far in the future or too far in the past, it ruins the present. I'm going to share an idea with you that might seem impossible at first. To survive a long-term difficult project, the most important thing to do is to narrow down your thought process to what's in front of you today. Elder Uchtdorf taught this when he taught about an airplane going from New York City to Paris. He says if you draw a straight line from New York to Paris, it actually has to go through the ocean and you actually instantly crash. So it has to have these intermediate checkpoints. And it has to have one destination for now, and then it changes to another destination, changes to another destination. I was introduced to this concept in my early 20s, and I acted upon it with faith at the time. Now that I'm 30 years more mature, I can now look in the rearview mirror and see how this has actually been applied in my life. There have been segments in my life where I had to be very dedicated to a certain journey for a certain length of time, but that was never intended to be my long-term journey. But if I had been trying to access the long-term plan, I would have been like crashing. And so sometimes I would almost be there or close to there, and then it would be told turn. Okay, now go this direction for a while. And I'd follow that and then turn. Those of you who are in a circumstance where do I stay married? Do I not stay married? Do I go all in? Do I not go all in? These are some horrifically difficult decisions. But here's the secret I've learned to maintain your sanity. Assess the situation the best you can in the current circumstance. If you feel like the best thing for this relationship, based on everything you've gathered, is for it to end, you feel somewhat spiritually validated on that, but you also don't feel like there's an urgency for it. Okay, what I recommend is you pick a length of time that is not eternal. You put yourself a nice solid checkpoint in place and you say, all right, for the next 3 weeks, I'm going to plan my days as if I will be divorced 6 months from now. So I'm just going to start gathering resources. I've got children right now, so I can't go running around talking to lawyers all day long. I can't be thinking about this all day. I can do it for 20 minutes one day, 30 minutes for another day, an hour and a half another day, back to 20 minutes on another day, but I'm just on that course And then you relieve your brain of the experience of, what am I going to do? 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 3 weeks from now, after you've gathered information, then decide, then make a shift. And then if you decide, wait a minute, he's done several things I wasn't expecting him to do to make improvements. He's done several things that give me reason to believe he might actually be on course. He might be trying to fix this marriage. I am healing, I feel better. Maybe I'll give it a chance. So maybe for the next 3 weeks you decide not to work on divorce, but you decide, I'm going to be receptive to his attempts to rebuild this marriage. I'm not going to dive all the way in, I'm just going to be receptive to it, just for maybe 2 weeks. I'll do it for 2 weeks. Then you stay on that course for 2 weeks and then reevaluate and then turn. This will help you not lose your mind with going back and forth all the time. And by the way, this is not just what you're going through now. This is a healthy tool to have for your whole life in all areas. You have to have rituals in place on a regular basis where you hold still and breathe and just be pleased and satisfied with where you are today. When I think about how this might work, I try to think of a woman crossing the plains in pioneer days. Everything around her's chaos. Everything around her's full of pain. She's left a nice home in Nauvoo. Her husband's gone on some mission somewhere. Her kids are not well, but she just goes for a walk and she just takes 60 seconds to breathe, to look at the sky, to look at the grass in the plains moving, to feel the air on her face, and she just stops and just is present for a second. Get rid of the thoughts in your head. This lifetime, all these elements, there are so many things that go on. People who have severe health issues have to exercise the same process. They have to stop and just breathe for a second and access, okay, what's happening right now? What can I appreciate and value in this moment? As long as your brain is trying to get it done with, get it over with, get it out of the way, you will be tortured. There's no way out of that, because if it's not one thing, it's another. The future's too unpredictable. You have to focus on what is immediately in front of you. And may I suggest and give you my testimony and experience that it works. When you know what the plan is for the next block of time and you can stay dedicated to it, it works to stay single-minded. It works to stay focused. It works that you can actually rest. I'm on course. I'm doing fine. And on the 23rd, when I go for a 2-hour walk and I pull out my notebook and I reevaluate, if I need to, I'll turn. And I have trust in my ability to turn correctly. So please, don't panic about all that stuff. I hope that serves you well.